Okay, this is a mini tutorial on how to graph a linear equation. I'm going to start here in example number 1 with an equation that's written in slope-intercept form. So when something is written in slope-intercept form, all you need to know is how to graph the y-intercept as well as the slope of the line. So we're going to start here when it's written in this form at this point here. This is our y-intercept. Sometimes it's called the initial value or initial amount. It's our starting point as well. So we're going to go down to -5. 0, -5 is where this line crosses the y-axis, which is why it's called the y-intercept. And we're then going to go ahead and graph this slope. Now this slope, -2/7, has a rise over run of -2/7. So what that means is that it's actually going down 2 units and to the right 7 units. Or you can also reverse this and put the negative on the 7. This is also the same as going up 2 units and left 7 units. Okay? So we're going to start at that point that we graphed at 0, -5, the y-intercept, and we're going to go up 2 and to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We draw a point, and now we have at least 2 points on this graph. I want to get another point so that I can draw this more accurately, so I'm going to start at 0, -5 again. I'm going to go down 2 this time, 1, 2, and to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now I have a little bit more accurate graph. I can draw a straight line. It's kind of ghetto looking. Let's do it again. You can use a ruler, obviously, when you guys are doing yours on paper, but that's how you would graph in slope-intercept form. Now, not every equation is going to be written in slope-intercept form. Sometimes it's going to be written in standard form, like this equation here. And in this case, the quickest way to do this is to graph using intercepts. So when it's in standard form, the quickest way is to graph using intercepts. And what you're going to do is to find the x and the y-intercepts. When a line crosses the x-axis, it's called an x-intercept. And for every x-intercept, we always know that y equals 0, right? If it's going to cross this line, that means this coordinate here has to have a y coordinate of 0. This would be like 6, 0. So that means we know that the y is 0. And conversely, if we want to solve for the y-intercept, we know that the x should be 0, because again, every point on this line here has an x coordinate of 0. So if it crosses the y-axis here, then it would be at 0, 8. Notice again that the x coordinate here is 0. So algebraically we can solve for those 2 points and we can graph those 2 points. So I like to call this the cover-up method also. You can look at this function here and you can cover up, let's say I want to solve for the x-intercept. I'm going to cover up this portion, the y, and I solve the resulting equation. And the reason why you can do that is, again, because you're plugging in y equals 0 here. This term is going to completely drop away, which is why I'm covering it up essentially. So if y is equal to 0, then I end up with the equation 6x equals -12. I solve and I get an x coordinate of -2. Now you have to remember that this coordinate is matched with that 0, so this is -2, 0. Okay, and then for the the y-intercept, we're going to solve and let x equal 0. So now if we plug in x equals 0 here, this is going to go away. This term is going to become 0, and we're left with -2y equaling -12, which gives us a y value of 6. So we have the point 0, 6. So a lot of times what I'll see students do incorrectly here is they will take these two, this x and this y, and they'll put it together as a coordinate, -2, 6, and then they'll get really confused because they'll just plot a point and they'll stop. Well, that's not really what we did algebraically, right? We decided to let y equal 0 here, which is why we resulted in this equation, which is why we got x equals -2, which is why we got the coordinate -2, 0. So that's the point that I'm going to plot over here, -2, 0. And again, over here when we solve for the y-intercept, we let x equal 0, which is why we result in this equation, which is why we get y equals 6, and we get the point 0, 6. So we definitely don't want to put those two numbers together and create just one point. They are two distinct points. I graphed those 2 points, and now I have a straight line. So obviously we talked through this, it took a little bit longer, but you're going to be able to do this really quickly. Graphing in standard form is very easy once you understand the algebraic concept behind that. And that's right here, letting x, for an x-intercept, letting y equal 0, and for a y-intercept, letting x equal 0. All right, the last method that we're going to show you is how to graph an equation when it's written in point-slope form. So when it's written in point-slope form, you're going to need to know where your slope is. So your slope is here. Your coordinate is actually the opposite of what's inside there. So the coordinate that I want to start at, my starting point, the point that I'm given, is -4, 6. So remember, it's the opposite, okay? So I'm going to start at -4, 6. And it's kind of like starting at a y-intercept where you need to figure out where your first point is. In this case, it's the point that I'm given, which is -4, 6. And then I go ahead and I graph my slope. So again, a slope is equal to rise over run. And in this case, this is going up 1 and to the right 3. Or that's equivalent to going down 1 and to the left 3. Okay, because these are both positive directions and these are both negative directions, which will result in overall a positive slope. So I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 3, up 1 and to the right 3. I keep repeating that. I can go down 1 and left 3, down 1 and left 3. Okay, and there's my line. So point slope form is also pretty easy to graph. You just remember you're going to look inside this, make it the opposite. So if it's a +4 here, your x-coordinate should be -4. If this is a -6, then your y-coordinate should be a +6. Make sure you don't just distribute and try to graph this, because one, we're going to be testing you on being able to graph in all 3 forms, but also because it's making yourself do more work. Okay? So make sure you know how to do graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form, standard form, and point-slope form.